Hello and good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. For the students of sociology, we would like to tell you all that today we are going to talk on a very interesting topic, and the topic is Discourses of Modernity and Sociology. And for this very discussion, that is for this very lecture, today we have with us in our studios Dr. Subhash Mohapatra. Dr. Subhash Mohapatra is Associate Professor in Department of Sociology, University of Delhi. And dear friends, I believe that I firmly affirm that his experience would help us in knowing the topic Discourses of Modernity and Sociology. So without wasting any time, I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Subhash Mohapatra. Dr. Mohapatra, welcome to the EduSet lecture.
Thank you, Geetika. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure once again to be back into the studio and to address to the students and the colleagues all over the country. It's really a great pleasure to reflect on the topic that is in the air today, Discourses of Modernity, and how sociology is reflecting on that. We are talking about smart cities. We are talking about creating employment opportunities for the people. We are speaking about connecting people with the world. We are speaking about mass transit system, revolution in every sphere, in the sphere of technology, in the sphere of communication, education, administration. Everywhere we see, we find out the imprints of modernity. Modernity is such a force. It started from Europe and became the property of the world. More a country is modern, more it is empowered. Least a country is modern, more it is backward. What is that modernity? Is modernity technology specific? Is it something just related to institutions? Or it's a form of way of thinking? It's a form of ideas. It's a kind of perception. It's a pattern of belief. It's a form of hope. That we must have to know to make sense of modernity and its impact on the culture, on the people, on the societies, and whether modernity is enforcive or it is voluntarily acceptable to the people. It is bringing happiness or furthering inequality. It is forwarding hope in a hopeless situation, or it is creating disaster. Modernity has two aspects always. Those who fall in love with it, they celebrate modernity. Those who are the victims of it, they offer criticism to it. So modernity is not good or it is not bad. It's just a form of experience, how it comes to our life. While encountering with sociological discourses of modernity, I want to first start my lecture indicating that sociology evolved as a child of modernity. It's true that modernity is an European experience. It started with Renaissance, intensified with French Revolution, and consolidated with the rise of Industrial Revolution. So modernity came in Europe in a phased manner. First, it gave way to ideological transformation, value transformation through Renaissance, then transformation of political institutions through French Revolution, and Industrial Revolution gave rise to technological modernity or technological transformation. How modernity in Europe came in a phased manner, and to study the changes that came out of modernity, how sociology evolved as a discipline, I'll be concentrating on that in the first part of my lecture. In the second part of my lecture, I'll be talking about how modernity is affecting to human life today and how sociologists are questioning to this modernity. And if time permits, I should be talking about Indians tryst with modernity, how India went for modernity, and how the sociologists of India are reflecting, analyzing, explaining modernization of India. So let me start with the first part of the lecture, how modernity evolved in Europe and how sociology evolved as a child of modernity. Modernity means thinking anew, new way of thinking. So we can make sense of modernity if we make a sense of what is tradition. Without understanding tradition, it's difficult to understand modernity. Tradition is a social condition, cultural condition, which gave human beings sufferings, pain. It gave a kind of restlessness to man. His life was greatly designed and defined by the values of culture and religion. So in a traditional European society, church was regulating the life of man. It was religion that was determining what is moral and what is immoral. What is ethical and what is not, that is not determined by the conscience of man. It was driven by the explanation of religion. Blind beliefs, superstitions, otherworldly values were explaining everyday life of man. Therefore, religion was enslaving people, destroying their freedom. Their creativity was absolutely lost. So, questioning to this kind of enslavement, a new kind of thinking developed. That what is called as Renaissance. Renaissance gave us a kind of critique to the Orthodox religion. Take, for example, the views of Martin Luther, John Calvin. You find out that these reformists, they questioned to Catholic Church and advocated that God has created this earth and He has created the heaven. Therefore, life in heaven is not something distinctive, illuminative, as against life in this world. God has created man to transform this world into the paradise of God. Therefore, man can create, man can invent, man can bring in change in the life world. He doesn't have to wait for the intervention of God. In every human being there is present divinity. So divinity, in quest of that, there is no need to go to church. There is no need to go for celebration and ceremonies. There is no need to go for ritualism. There is no need to go for the intervention of priestly class. Faith in God is not something bad. But believing in God that is not sin. Believing in God that is spelled out by the priestly class is unscientific, unacceptable. Love for humanity is religion. Ceremonial extravagance never takes a man in the direction of salvation. Also, reform leaders advocated that it is divine if man is committed to his vocation. Love for your work, compassion towards the people surrounding you, respect for the time, abstention from ceremonial extravagance are sacred, are moral, are the guiding principles to man's life. God never makes people high and low. It is the humans who are in the name of God. They classify people, define their status, and distinguish their entitlements, which can be favoring them. Therefore, God makes man equal. Class makes them different. Groups and communities are making the people different. Therefore, religious reform was a kind of situation, condition that ignited the mind of man to develop rational thinking, to go for different kinds of productive discourses, fall in love with this world, go for equality, and respect to the achievement orientation of man. Therefore, this religious reform offer a foundation to new way of thinking in case of European society. And this religious reform existed, developed, along with the scientific thinking coming from the writings of Newton, Galileo, Francis Bacon, and other great minds of Europe. The great minds of Europe believed that truth can be explored through scientific investigation. You cannot explain the truth just by applying your sense. So, through constant research, through constant investigation, driven by rational input, one can arrive at a kind of generalization that will be acceptable to everybody. Therefore, science is best way of exploring the truth than primarily prediction, apprehension, religious doctrines. So we should be getting away from these superstitions, dogmatic ideas, hearsays. To explain the truth, we must have to go for scientific exploration of the reality surrounding us. In a beautiful way, Newton has said that planets are moving within their own orbit because gravity is fixed into them. But who has fixed that gravity is not known to us. It means science is responsible for the movement of natural embodiments or discourses. But that gravity who has set in these planets is not known to us. Means there is a kind of force that is present beyond our comprehension. Respect to that force, respect to that entity, and that force is God. Faith in God is nothing bad. But the way God is presented by a particular priestly class, so that is contributing for enslavement. The rise of science is developing this idea that birth and death are natural discourses. They are not designed and defined by the will of God. Man can be changing his life in a positive way, progressive way, by exploring the embodiments of nature. Therefore, man must use his intellect, productive potentials, creative capabilities to make this world much more progressive, to make this world much more achieving, to make this world greatly progressive in character. So therefore, on the one hand, scientific explorations and research and ideas, and on the other hand, questioning to religion offer a foundation to the rise of modern society in case of Europe. Many historical events contributed to the rise of modernity in Europe, and most important of them are rise of printing press, trade developed in case of Italy, so also banking institution, decline of Constantinople. Then the European scholars, those who are living in Constantinople, they are coming back to Italy and other European countries. They are getting access to great philosophies of the Latin and Greek scholars, translating their work in English language. Large body of people are getting exposure to this kind of liberal philosophies. As a result, knowledge is connecting people. Idea of rationality, idea of liberalism, idea of scientific temper, idea of individualism are slowly replacing to the ideology people were imbibing from religion, emphasizing on orthodoxy, blind beliefs, superstitions, supremacy of priestly class, otherworldly values. So therefore, a kind of ideological transformation is taking place in case of Europe because of the rise of Renaissance. Renaissance is keeping man at the center of this universe, replacing God. Conceptualizing that if one has to write a poetry, it should be reflecting on human emotions, human pathos, human hope, human miseries. Also in the painting or in the literature or in the public discourses, man, his concern, his problems, his happiness, his hope, all should be brilliantly narrated. So therefore, man's mind was deviated from, taken away from the orthodox religiosity to the spirit of rationality, spirit of science, and spirit of humanism. So that is why I say ideological modernity came out of Renaissance. It offered a strong foundation for the growth of modern society in case of Europe. Subsequently, one finds out in 18th century, French Revolution took place. And French Revolution was the victory of the downtrodden sections of the society. Middle class, peasantry, industrial workers, all combinedly together initiated a movement. And that movement was in search of political freedom, self-expression. And the values and virtues of equality, freedom, liberty were glorified by the leaders of the French Revolution. What I strongly feel that French Revolution not only contributed for the rise of modern political institutions and values, rather French Revolution offered a strong platform for the rise of a new social order. Voltaire has said that people may disagree with each other pertaining to their ideas and opinions, but one must have to give a chance to the others to speak what they want to speak, whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them. Therefore, freedom of speech is a kind of idea that was greatly glorified. And also this idea was glorified through the writings of Rousseau, that general will can transform the basic character of society. What is general will? When man is reducing his selflessness, when the selfish element present in man's life is merging with his collective aspiration for well-being, then individual will and collective well-being will be fused together, and that will be giving rise to general will. So general will symbolizes progress. General will facilitates a man to become a part of the total social life. General will is controlling to egoism and self-centric orientation in man. To man, a person, an individual, will be converted into a citizen where general will is established. General will be converting private property into legitimate property of an individual. So therefore, man benefits if he becomes a part of the general will, but he cannot be self-seeking and selfish when he is a part of this. The modern society will be driven by general will. General will is committed to the collective well-being, and when collective well-being is promoted, individual happiness can be guaranteed. Man cannot stay happy if society is unhappy. Therefore, to make an individual happy, you must have to work for social reconstruction, and social reconstruction is possible through advancement of general will. Therefore, how to develop a modern society? How to control egoism and self-centric orientation in modern society? That is brilliantly reflected in the writings of Rousseau, making a distinction between actual will and real will. He tells how both can be fused together for the rise of general will. So therefore, French Revolution to me is not just a historical event. It gave a space for people belonging to different classes to come together, dreaming about a future society where harmony will be present, equality will be present, integration will be present, respect for rules of law will be present, common citizenship will be present, and love and respect for state will be present, discipline will be present, professionalism will be present. So therefore, French Revolution spoke about a new social order, that is the making of man, where man will be constantly intervening to find out the problems present in the society and work on that, find out solution to the problems, and can make a better social order which is equalitarian in character, participative in character, which can be questioned, and this society can be guaranteeing happiness to different sections of the society, promoting among them a sense of fraternity, a sense of unity, and a sense of devotion to the state. So, philosophers were greatly engaged in thinking about a new social order that is so qualitatively different from the social order we had in past. That may be Montesquieu, who is talking about separation of power. That may be Rousseau, who is talking about general will. That may be Voltaire, who is talking about freedom of speech. So the French Revolution, on the one hand, provided space for citizenship, growth of political parties, public opinion, people's power, constitutionalism. So many modern political institutions developed out of French Revolution, and French Revolution created a condition for the rise of political modernity. And subsequently these democratic institutions, democratic values, democratic ethos and ideals spread to other parts of Europe. Therefore, political modernity became the centrality of European society or Western society for that matter. So, modernity as a kind of project started with Renaissance, and it got a new dimension and direction with the rise of French Revolution, and subsequently Industrial Revolution gave a kind of expansion to the whole idea of modernity through the exchange of technology, expansion of market and mass production. Let me analyze in brief how is industrialization contributing for the expansion of modernity. Modernity as a kind of experience spread from Europe to other parts of the world because of industrialization. Industrialization contributed for mass production. And when mass production is generating surplus, to sell that surplus, there is a quest for new markets. And the search for market and profitability is offering a strong foundation to expansion of colonialism. So therefore, colonies are primarily told to consume goods and commodities which are produced from out of Western industries. And slowly this economic colonialism is providing a platform for political colonization. And when this political colonization is taking place in the third world countries, modern institutions like bureaucracy is introduced, modern means of transportation system is introduced, modern technologies are introduced, and modern political structure is also making appearance. So therefore, the people, those who had nothing to do with modernity, got exposure to modernity because of their exposure to colonialism. And grounding to colonialism is primarily associated with trade, commerce and mercantile activities that progressive nation, industrial nations of the West established with the poor nations of Latin America, Africa and Asia. So therefore, modernity spreads. It is spreading through education, spreading through technology, spreading through the political colonialism. So therefore, modernity is spreading into different parts of the world in diversified ways. And industrialization has drastically transformed the social structure of Western societies. One, modernity demanded consolidation of population in the urban industrial centers. Therefore, people left their villages, settled down in the urban centers, and joined industrial and urban workforce. So, such kind of migration from cultural zones to economic and new political zones, social zones, has become a matter of interest for sociology. When people are coming from traditional communitarian society to industrial society, where they are not known to each other, connected to each other by one occupation, developing a kind of class identity amongst themselves, separated from out of traditional culture and religious practice. What are the experiences of these people, those who are subjected to migration? That became one important domain of sociological inquiry. Also, when people are joining this industrial workforce, they are specializing in different kinds of activities. So, how that specialization is giving them varieties of class identity, and how different classes are negotiating with each other, how different classes are developing a kind of relationship with each other, that also became another subject of interest for sociology. Also, sociology looked into how a kind of inequality present between the people, those who are left out in the rural pockets, and the people, those who are experiencing a new kind of life, living in the urban center, comparison between rural life and urban life. So, therefore, sociology takes interest in the study of modernity, technological modernity, that developed in case of European society under the impact of industrialization. So, industrialization created new class structure, expanded market, promoted consumerism, initiated profitability, gave rise to the growth of entrepreneurial class, different bodies of specialists, workers coming from different parts of the country assembling at one place. So, the kind of hope, the kind of promise, the kind of capabilities, the kind of restlessness, the kind of anxiety that people are experiencing in this modern space became the subject of interest of sociology. So, therefore, when European modernity is contributing for social transformation, at that point of time, some are dancing in joy because they find out modernity is bringing new kind of hope for them. Others are skeptics. They consider that modernity has broken down the traditional institution, values, relationship, culture, developing a sense of anonymity among the people, developing a sense of anxiety among them. People are engaged in ruthless competition with each other. Money is evolving as new kind of god. Consumerism is spreading to every sphere of life. Joint families disintegrating. Atomistic nuclear families are coming into prominence. So, therefore, the crisis, hopelessness, despair is highlighted by the sociological writings of some scholars. So, therefore, when modernity is bringing forward the decline of old society and the rise of new society, so the perceptions of the people, imagination of the sociologist, and sociological explanation to people's experience all being combined together afford a primary scope for the rise of a new discipline called as sociology. Therefore, sense of joy and at the same time a sense of concern, both combinedly together, gave fertility to the rise of a new discipline called as sociology. Therefore, sociology, I would be saying, is a child of European modernity. How different sociologists are reflecting on this European modernity, I will be paying little attention on that, then I will proceed. Early sociologists, when I look into, I would be looking into Saint-Simon and Auguste Comte. They are considered as the founder of sociology, and they are reflecting on modern society in a distinctive way than from their predecessors, who were primarily philosophers like Kant, Hegel, Nietzsche and others. Saint-Simon considers that modernity is a product of science and rationality. Modernity has given a space to all of us to get away from the people who are idle. And these idle people were aristocratic class. They were priestly class, enjoying all the benefits, going for luxury. Now that revolution has taken place because of industrialization, is coming through the initiatives of the entrepreneurs. It is coming through the initiatives taken up by the professionals, like engineers. So therefore, modern society should be shaped, defined, designed by the creativity, inventive potentials of these professionals. Like scientists are there, technocrats are there. They should be defining and designing the structure of modern society. New innovation, new creativity, expansion of primarily economy should be the other name of modern society. And he tells that when a worker is producing goods and commodities, when a professional is giving his knowledge to produce varieties of goods and commodities, they should have first right over it. And he was concerned that there is a possibility that the industrialists, those who are investing capital in promoting industry, they may be controlling over, they may be hijacking these benefits from out of the control of the working class, the professionals. Therefore, he developed the idea of how the benefits coming out of industry should be more or less equitably be distributed among different bodies of people. Therefore, Saint-Simon developed the idea of ethical socialism. Means the fruits of the labor produced in terms of technology should first be accessible to the laborers and the professional class. So therefore, there will be no conflict in industrial society if the benefits of labor is distributed between enterprise on the one hand and labor on the other. Therefore, the idea of socialism we are talking about today, much before our idea of socialism getting primarily consolidated, the problem of industry and solution to this problem is spelled out in the writings of Saint-Simon. Auguste Comte, a disciple of Saint-Simon, is also articulating in the same way. He tells that societies are subjected to progress because of development of ideas, technological expansion. Therefore, man was first driven by the spirit of religion, centering around which theological society developed. Subsequently, cognition of mind went philosophical, and product of that was metaphysical society. Now, rationality, scientific temper, technological advancement gave rise to the growth of modern industrial society. He calls this modern industrial society as positivistic society. A society where science should be explaining everything. Scientific methods should be explaining the truth. Scientific ideas will be offering foundation to institutions. So therefore, celebration of science is the other name of modern society. And once society go in the direction of progress, it cannot reverse itself back to its original position. So therefore, Auguste Comte gives an answer to the critics of modernity, who advocate that past was beautiful, present is not. Let us go back to past. Auguste Comte tells, when a child becomes an adult, it is difficult to bring back his childhood to him. So therefore, once a society becomes progressive, it cannot come back to its original position. Therefore, we must enjoy modernity, enjoy the benefits of modernity, work for the consolidation of modernity. Therefore, modernity is a hope, modernity is the future, and modernity will be the source of satisfaction to everybody. Here I want to make a statement that where there is something new, that new brings you hope, that is subjected to celebration. But when the new becomes old and we find out problems in that particular thing from which we expected something big, then we develop criticism to it. Therefore, when modernity was just arriving, we are carrying hope on modernity. It can give us detachment from religion. It can give us a quality life. It can promote unity between the race and ethnic groups. It can facilitate us to move to far off places in little time. It can give us access to varieties of goods and commodities. So when modernity was arriving, and it was giving us a lot of hope to experience life, hope to primarily promote quality life. So at that time, most of the scholars were celebrating modernity. And that celebration of modernity, its centrality to the writings of Saint Simon and writings of Auguste Comte. Subsequently, we find out other sociologists developed in the form of Emile Durkheim, Max Weber, Talcott Parsons. Also, they went into the celebration of modernity. If I look into the sociology of Emile Durkheim, Durkheim considers that a small society, when experiencing rise in population, go for different kinds of specialization, growth of modern institution, will ultimately be evolving into a complex society. And the shift from a simple to complex society must have to pass through a transitional zone. In this transitional stage, old society has not appeared completely. Old society has not disappeared completely. And new society has not also made its comprehensive appearance. Therefore, confusion is there, turmoil is there, crisis is there, and he calls that stage as anomie. Therefore, anomie, Durkheim believes, is a normlessness situation where direction is not there. We never know in which direction we are moving and what is good and what is bad. Every individual in anomic stage is becoming egoistic, self-centric, directionless. So therefore, anomie will be bringing sufferings to everybody. And when that suffering is experienced by everyone, then all will be applying their mind and heart together and try for solution to this anomie. New contracts will develop, agreements will develop, consensus building will take place, as a result of which one will be finding out a new kind of conscience collective will be developed, and that conscience collective will be giving us direction to progress, direction to happiness, and direction to well-being. Therefore, Durkheim tells, modernity is the hope. Modernity is the hope. We cannot have substitution to modernity, alternative to modernity. And he tells, in a modern society, man is committed to society because society is always committed to the welfare of man. Society is always committed for the well-being of man. Therefore, before man is asking society, society is making appearance in front of man, catering to all his needs, catering to all his primary problems from time to time, giving him happiness, giving him joy, giving him profession, giving him well-being. I want to point out here. So, Durkheim's vision of what modernity ought to be, if we look at today, we would be finding out that people's vision of modernity during 19th century and the discourses of modernity today are so greatly different. Therefore, when 19th century sociologists were celebrating modernity, 21st century sociologists are developing skepticism towards modernity. Thus, modernity in past offered foundation to sociology, and modernity today, being we are questioning that as the students of sociology. So we are taking sociology to a new height, but the encounter with modernity and sociology has always been a matter of fact. After Durkheim, I will be bringing in another scholar who is Karl Marx. Karl Marx considers that modern technology per se is not bad. Mass production per se is not bad. But the problem of modernity is that technology, material goods are all controlled by a particular class for the furtherance of their self-interest. Therefore, bourgeois monopolize over modern technology. They monopolize over profit. exploiting to the labor they generate surplus, and these bourgeois having domination over the system of production are creating modern institutions which will be supporting to their cause and favoring to their interest. Therefore, modernity, the way it is spelled out, found out in case of capitalist Europe. So that modernity, he is taking the special case of Britain, the way modernity is spelled out in 19th century Britain, and for that matter in other industrial developed countries, is favoring to a particular class. Therefore, mass is suffering from poverty, class is benefiting from industrial technology and modernity. So therefore, the distributive benefits of modernity is not equalitarian. Therefore, to promote that equality between different classes as per the advantage of modernity is concerned, a revolution is necessary. And that revolution will be facilitating the means of production and other public institutions to be controlled by all, as a result of which modernity will be bringing forward happiness, joy, inclusion, progress and development. Therefore, shift from capitalism to socialism and ultimately to communism. We will be talking about the celebration of modernity and how modernity is contributing for the well-being of everybody than catering to, guaranteeing to the welfare of a class. Max Weber is another sociologist. He is also reflecting on modernity. He considers that modernity is a historical process coming out of rationalization of different institutions, rationalization of human life. Rationalization means exploration of truth through the application of scientific ideas. Rationalization is talking about exploration of reality, understanding of reality through cause-effect relationship. So he tells that when rationality is a kind of disengagement from religion. Therefore, Weber not only talks about Protestant ethics as a kind of rational religion, but rationality he advocates is disengagement from traditional orthodox beliefs and values. He advocates if rationalization is taking place in political structure, democracy will develop. Administrative structure will be giving rise to respect for rules of law and growth of bureaucracy. Rational education will be talking about education that is humanistic in character, scientific in spirit than theological education. Therefore, rationalization has taken place in education sphere, political sphere, economic sphere and other private spheres, also family rationalization has taken place. As a result of that, we find out the same spirit of science is present in case of every institution, giving self-confidence to man, respect for rules of law, conformity to primarily the doctrines of the state, as a result of which traditional society is going in the direction of modernity. Therefore, rationalization is celebrated in Weber's sociology, through his study of religion, through his study of bureaucracy, and Weber tells rationalization is directing an individual to go for legal, rational, social action. So, modernity is not unique to one country. Modernity is a product of value. When rational values are predominating, rationalization of institutions are taking place, then modern society is making appearance. Therefore, Weber has faith in modernity, because modernity is equalitarian in character. Modernity is law-bound in character. Modernity rejects to primarily the values and virtues of tradition. Modernity gives direction to progress. Modernity speaks about cooperation among the people, and modernity distributes benefits among the people on the basis of their capabilities, on the basis of their merit. So, modernity has given a new kind of enchantment to man, that traditional status groups are disappearing, modern primarily professional groups are making appearance, institutions are redirected, And man is enjoying a better life, disciplined life, because of the impact of modernity. So therefore, if one looks into sociological literature, celebration of modernity was the essence of sociological imagination, whether that is the sociology of Saint-Simon or Auguste Comte or Emile Durkheim or for that matter Max Weber or to some extent Karl Marx. Last but not the least, modernity gives importance on values, is spelled out by Talcott Parsons. He makes a distinction between two kinds of values. One is pattern variable A, present in traditional societies, and pattern variable B, present in modern society. Therefore, modernity will be making appearance in a society if people go for achievement orientation, specific relationship, self-orientation. They reject to ascription. They reject to diffusion. So therefore, Parsons in detail is talking about how values must be appropriately present in a particular society to make that society modern. Therefore, technology cannot make a society only modern. Technology must be supported by appropriate values. So therefore, we find out that modernity came in Europe, changed European society, and sociologists were searching for the genesis to modernity. Some were celebrating modern society. Some were talking about institutions have contributed for modernity. And some people talk about the fact how value modernity can be giving rise to other kinds of modernity. Therefore, many other sociologists subsequently came. They looked into why the third world countries are not modern. Like Ogburn, he talked about cultural lag, telling that technological modernity is taking place in third world countries like India, but appropriate values are not present. Therefore, there is a gap between material culture and non-material culture. Therefore, modernity is an incomplete agenda in case of third world countries. Rousseau is another scholar who tells that all societies can be equally modern, but they have to wait. They have to take initiatives. Therefore, traditional stage will be followed by pre-take-up stage, will be further followed by take-up stage, drive towards maturity, and ultimately the stage of mass consumption. So Rousseau tells that the way America has started from one stage to another stage to reach at mass consumption stage, availing the benefits of modernity, other third world countries can also follow their footsteps. So therefore, modernity is not something unique to one society. Different societies should come together. Technologies should be exchanged, knowledge should be exchanged, initiatives should be taken by the local people. Therefore, drive for modernity should be coming out of cross-cultural contact, sharing of knowledge, consolidation of the political structure, change of values. Only then modernity will be making appearance, and modernity is going to bring happiness to everybody. Many sociologists like David McLennan, Gunnar Medal, they also speak about the problems why third world countries are not able to become that modern as against the first world countries. And the reasons, they are giving a list of reasons, like people are still primarily driven by traditional consciousness. They speak about political instability. They talk about leisurely orientation of the people. So they give a list of reasons. Per capita expenditure is so less. Investment behavior is different. Entrepreneurial culture is also different. They give a list of reasons to speak about why there is a development gap between the rich nations, first world countries, and the poor nations or the third world countries. So whatever may be the reason, sociology is greatly concerned with the study of modernity and its after effects, and the classical sociologists develop their imagination, thinking, reflecting on modernity and how it is contributing for social change. In today's context, when we look at modernity, we find out that we are orphaned by modernity. When I make this strong statement, we are orphaned by modernity, it means we expected something big from modernity to happen. But what is happening today, if we look into that, it gives us a lot of sufferings and a lot of pain. Some specific incidents I am going to bring in here. Modern technologies are used by different fundamentalist organizations to ruthlessly kill the civilians. Modern means of communication is being used by state and its agencies to keep a control over what is people discussing in their private life. It is because of modernity we are now discussing about the question of environment and how it is making the life of the people miserable. So modernity has given us a kind of restlessness to us, a sense of concern to us. The countries which are modern, they are becoming subsequently progressively modern. More sophisticated technologies, warheads they are making. They are investing more money on research in the domain of modern technology, modern science, and consolidating their position in the contemporary globalized political and economic domain. So these core nations are located in the core position because they have colonized over science, technology and modernity. And their colonization over science, technology and modernity is giving them a chance, a say to dictate over the independent decisions of the smaller nations of the world. Modernity at one point of time carried this dream that because of this impact of modernity, global unity will become possible. But in today's context, when you reflect on modernity, global unity is absolutely unthinkable. Global divide is taking place because some have access to modernity, others don't have access to modernity. Those who are benefiting from modernity, they control the world market. Take for example, how modernity has contributed for disaster in modern world. You go for varieties of toothpaste available in the market. But if you look into the manufacturer of this toothpaste, there will be 2 or 3 companies coming from one location and all over the world people are consuming it. Take the case of soft drinks. 1 or 2 global companies are producing it, sold in the world and people are consuming it and profit is going in the direction of one country. Therefore, more you speak about modern, more you speak about advantage to the people, those who are fast to become modern and those who are last to become modern, they are getting primarily the residual elements of modernity, developing dependent on the people, those who have already become modern. In Paris summit, we are discussing that. Who will pay for pollution? We have to pay for pollution, though we started industry quite late. But those who started industry fast, they refuse to bear the cost because they consider today's pollution is more important than pollution in past. At that point of time, Earth was taking power, it is not carrying that power today. Such a paradox. So consumerism you look into, we have more malls today, more consumer items today, mobile telephones today. So whenever we are consuming something to become modern, the benefit of that modernity is reaching to some country and we are getting a falsified happiness that we have become modern. What is modern today that is no longer modern tomorrow? iPhones keep changing it every night or in every 6 months. Therefore, possessing that, when I was feeling modern, that modernity, that sense of accomplishment, it's staying with me for 6 months, not beyond that. Name cosmetics, name automobiles, name mobile telephones. Everywhere you find out modernity is fragile in our life. So therefore, they define what is modern, we consume that. When we are consuming it, we find out modernity is not stable in character, it's not continuous in character. So therefore, all over the world today, academics are coming forward, social activists are coming forward and raising question against modernity. Some say modernity has created a form of madness. Others say modernity has created a kind of perversion of knowledge. Others say modernity is a kind of European agenda, Western ideology that is enforced on the people living in different parts of the world. Some say modernity is a kind of patriarchal ideology. And others say modernity is nothing but a kind of ruling class ideology that is enforced on the masses. When I speak of modern, I speak of big dam. When I speak of modern, I speak about industry coming at the cost of deforestation. When I speak of modern, I speak of buildings, smokes, and I don't talk about quality life. Therefore, if this is what modernity is, the early sociologists may be celebrating modernity, but contemporary sociologists are duty-bound to develop skepticism towards modernity, question to modernity, introspect modernity, retrospect modernity, and look at the impact of modernity on the life course of the people, state of nature, subaltern groups. So therefore, we don't have a kind of romance with modernity today that we used to have in past. So therefore, modernity and sociology are engaged in a kind of dynamic relationship with each other that started from 19th century, and the debate is still continuing. But as the students of sociology, we don't appreciate modernity or celebrate modernity. We are engaged in introspecting and retrospecting modernity in diversified ways.
With this note, thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. And I would congratulate not only the students of sociology, but the students of other streams also, because what taught by Dr. Subhash Mohapatra is beneficial for all, and we should think over the matter. And if we want to bring the change, we have to bring the change from ourselves first. So with this note, we would like to thank Dr. Subhash Mohapatra once again. And dear friends, if you have liked this lecture, then you can give your feedback, or if you have any queries, then also you can mail us at info.cec@nic.in. We would love to have your suggestions, your feedback. So we would be meeting again very soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much.